how would you sum up your 2.5 years?
For me, 2.5 years would be, satisfying, rewarding on a personal front. Obviously, getting an opportunity. I still remember taking up this assignment 2.5 years back when Rahul called me and said that obviously I'd worked with Rahul prior to that with the junior cricket, the A. So there was a great rapport with him. And obviously based at the NCA also helped mixing around with a lot of these guys a lot of guys worked with for the India A under 19. And obviously when he asked me, would you be interested in going on and doing the Indian team? A no-brainer for me. I thought I'd just grabbed onto the opportunity. Obviously happy to work with the elite, the best in the world. On a personal front, yes, as I said, it was rewarding, it was satisfying, and a great learning. A great opportunity to learn from the best. The more interaction that you have with the others, like someone like Ash or Rohit or Virat, I think there's a lot to learn about the batsman perspective, what to learn from someone like Ash, one of the greatest match winners this country has produced. To be able to learn from him, to be able to have those conversations. So I think I've grown as a person, obviously, and as a coach as well. So yeah, it's been a wonderful 2.5 years of stint with the board, with the Indian team. A lot of happy memories. Yes, there were challenges as well. I won't deny that. And glad that we overcome that one important ICC trophy that really eluded us for such a long time. I'm really glad and happy that finally that could won that tournament, and that was the end of the association. So my term. So yeah, very very happy about it.
We'll obviously come to the fitting finale as such, but you refer to challenges. What, according to you, would be the biggest challenge of being India's bowling coach in 2020s when the expectations vary so much according to performance?
I think, as you just mentioned, expectation. I think what is the biggest challenge out here is when India participates, there's nothing less needed, nothing other than about winning. I think winning is that everyone want Indian team to win. So I think it's the challenge is how do you continuously keep upgrading yourself, keep winning. Obviously you not win tournaments, you want to win series, because look at the red ball format. Every test match win important points. So I think you got to look at winning. Obviously, it's also very important. So yeah, I think expectation for people, because the moment you don't do well, you lose a series, or maybe World Test Championship that we didn't win. Was obviously there were a lot spoken about it. The T20 semi-finals, a lot spoken about it. So those are challenges because people do expect, but also the fact that to find the right balance between progress and success. And I think it's eventually, I think as from the bowling perspective, from a bowling coach, it's not only that moment. You got to look at 2 years, 3 years down the line. So you got to find the right balance between how do you work with, obviously winning is one, you want to win a series, every series is important, you want to win each and every game. But finding the right balance of long-term prospect also, the great opportunities for others, so that a great bench strength is created, which will now take from now on, would take from the others who will retire, would take that team forward. So those are challenges that was tough, but yeah, happy. I think I knew what I was getting into, and very happy with the way it went.
Right. Okay, so if we have to break down your tenure in 3 phases, the one till 2022 T20 World Cup, then the ODI World Cup, and then the last 6 months. Can you elaborate? Because like I said, conveniently the fans especially tend to forget the achievements or the challenges of working with a district.
Yeah.
So to balance all those requirements and to plan accordingly, can you elaborate on these 3 phases?
I think T20, let's talk about the World Cup that happened in Australia. Obviously, if you look at the way the semi-final went, when you lose, obviously with the manner that we lost, people do talk. I do understand that. A lot of people had an opinion, and everyone was upset. It's not only the players around, but just not of the public, but the players themselves. I think were very upset, and that hurt us. That T20 format that went the way it went really hurt us. People do conveniently forget also that the host nation didn't qualify. So it's not only you got to be at one part. People forget that India has whatever the way we went or other teams went. But can you imagine if that would have happened in India, that a host nation wouldn't have qualified? What? But nothing. I'm just saying. So as you said, it does. It's part and parcel of the game. At that time, especially in that format, you had to sit around, and that's what we sat and said, what do we need to do differently? Obviously we played good cricket to reach the semi-finals of the T20 World Cup in those conditions, done well. But we needed to think back and say, what do we need to do differently to give us that opportunity to win that cup? So I think the process actually started from there of drafting in new players. Is the kind of cricket they wanted to play, kind of bowlers from my perspective, was kind of bowlers we needed to be able to perform in every condition, every country, like in Australian conditions, Indian conditions. You had to sit down and look at the option. What are the pool available? What are the resources available with us? Who do we look at creating the game 2 years down the line? Because you need experience. Right? When you draft in a rookie or a young guy, you need to give him time. You need to give him opportunities. So to be able to create those opportunities, you had obviously bilateral series, and as I said, finding the balance of winning a series and creating that opportunity for the youngsters also. So that's a challenge that we had. And so we learned from that, from whatever experiences that we had. We had chat as a team. We sat about it as a support staff. We sat and with Rahul and everyone said, okay, what are the things that we need to work on, and what are the pool available with us, and how do we work them? So the plan actually started from there. The larger picture, obviously, the next target was the 50-over World Cup, which was obviously in India. We knew what the pressures were. We knew what we were about to encounter, because when you have home conditions, obviously when you interact with people, everyone wants to win the World Cup, right? Everyone just says, "Aapko jeetna hai." Wherever the conversation, they are good luck, aapko jeetna hai. So you can't run away from it. How do you kind of cocoon yourself from the fact that yes, there is the World Cup coming in. It's a home series for us. It's in Indian conditions, but eventually you'll have to play good cricket. The other nations are out there to win that cup. It's not only us that's going to be participating. The challenge is going to be there. So the challenge started there. Okay, for the 50-over format, what are the teams that you're looking at? What are the bowlers are we looking at? What are the venues you're going to play? I think you got to look at the venues, because India is a unique nation. You go to north, there's a different soil. You go to south, there's a different soil. You go to east, there's a different soil. You play center or west, is a very different soil. So the soils matter. So you got to look back and say, okay, fine. What are the teams we require? What are the combinations that we require that will be able to play in every venue? Because we were the only team in India that we toured had a different game. We were not based where in a particular stadium where we play 3-4 games. We knew that we were playing in 10 different venues. So we knew that would be the word. So the 10 different venues are 10 different challenges. So I think we needed to plan that accordingly and say, okay, fine, this is the team, this is the venue, this is the team we're going to play them. What are the combinations we're looking at? So the building up of the team was also a great experience, great challenge. And but yeah, unfortunately, we played fabulous cricket throughout. If you look at, we won each and every game except the finals. But what I would really take up from there was the consistency that we shown each and every game. We fought from tough situations. I still remember Chennai was a game against Australia. We in a tight spot. From there, lost 3 quick wickets, and from there to actually win a game on that kind of a wicket was fabulous. So a lot of positives that you took from there. Semi-finals out here, Wankhede, when you have that Wankhede is a tough venue. Short boundaries, flat wickets. 300 is not a great score. To be able to score 350 plus. And that's question. And at one stage also, the way they batted, you look like the game would go till the end. So there's a lot of positives for us from there. But one thing was I'm definitely going to take is the consistency that we've shown, and I think that's important. I thought if you look at the larger picture, I think what pays in the end is consistency.
We'll obviously come to the individuals, but from your perspective, one of the challenges of being India's bowling coach over the last 3 years is as much the problem of plenty, the selection dilemmas. I know you had very little role to play in terms of possibly deciding the combination.
Yeah.
But when someone like Ash is sitting out in a test match, someone like Shami is sitting out of a World Cup match, and what we saw in T20s, first Kuldeep, then Siraj, to manage that, how have you actually made it happen? What was your plan like? Do you approach a player voluntarily? Do you wait for them to approach you?
Yeah, I think both ways. I think first of all, it's important. Maybe when I came in this team, I had maybe luckily I had the opportunity of working with some of them at some point with the NCA, maybe the NCA, the under 19s. But the most of them I've not worked with, the senior guys. And I think that's something was always in my mind, that how would this go? To be able to add Virat is only what you've seen on television or interacted hardly. So how would Virat take it, or maybe Ash, or maybe Jadeja? So the challenge was to kind of have that connect. I think for a lot of the initial bit of my career, initial bit of my assignment was to have that create that rapport. I think it's important for me was always to create that trust between the two player and myself. One was just give enough time to first analyze the player from conversations of what are the expectations. Every individual in wherever stage in a career has different expectations from him. Young guy coming in has a different expectation. He wants to settle himself. There are different kind of goals that you come in. And someone like Ash, at what career point that he is, obviously has different goals. Just the important bit is to have those conversations and to understand.
Do you recall any specific conversation?
No, just general, and the conversation not doing a lot of just sitting over tea or coffee or whatever, just on the ground, and when people are bowling and just trying to understand what is generally. So I find Ash very unique. Very few people who are at that stage in their career, someone who's hitting nearly 500 test wickets, who still comes the intensity that he shows. The amount of bowling that he does, I found it very unique, and I said I just kind of understanding of what is that thing that drives him. To understand that, come every day for 12 years of his career, has done the same thing. He still bowls hours in the nets. I've never seen any other bowler doing that. He still bowls hours. I think he's one of the only few bowlers who has reinvented himself, who's made him maybe. How would I put it, for relative white ball cricket? Obviously, an off spinner, if you just look at the way stats are, off spinner, T20, everyone said, it's no, you don't want an off spinner. At one stage, people are struggling we were not very sure to have an off spinner. People with wrist spinners and finger spinners. But look at the way he reinvented himself. Completely different, made himself relevant to T20. You see Ash completely doing different kind of balls. You bowl a knuckle ball, you will bowl this. And look at the test cricket. Test cricket is a king, no doubt about it. Yeah, just to understand what maybe that Ash would want from me, and also the expectation, right? There's I'm coming to an environment which they have already been in that environment for a long time. I need to make that adjustment. So I was sure that I had certain views, maybe I had a certain opinion, a certain view, to be able to have that trust amongst us. To come back and say, why do I say that? So for him to understand what my intent is, what was very important, that I had nothing behind, there's no intent in that. The idea was to kind of make sure that either as an individual we grow, and most importantly, we adhere to the team plans. Eventually the team has to be successful. There are two parties in it. Always believe there are two parties in it. They're the player himself and the team. So team comes first. But I cannot forget the player and individual goals and what he does. So I think that's the balance. It took me a while to individually have that connect. And I think that really, really paid off for me. I think it's just the way that it's never been a coach and a player thing. It's a lot friendly environment that was there. So people would be free to express their opinion. Maybe you have you cannot agree on everything. You need to disagree on certain things. But as long as once you have that kind of conversation, sometimes a very difficult one, but once you have come out of the conversation, I think it's important to have the trust happens is when you have that saying, okay, fine, we forget what we discussed in there. This is what we discussed. We move on. We are great friends. So yeah, that kind of conversation took me a little while. to at least create that rapport with each and every individual. But that really helped me going ahead.
Right. Okay. Talking about individuals, can you give us an insight about what is it that makes someone like Bumrah stand out? I am not going to ask you what is it that you managed to get out of him. It's like, I think the challenge was for him to let him be himself. But post-injury, was there any difference?
It's prior to the injury. I think when he was I can remember we played there was a South Africa series there. He was here. Yeah, the South Africa series he was here.
Right.
And one of the games we were playing a T20 game in Vizag, I think. And he was bowling prior to the game, and he just pulled out of the game and said that shit, there's something I'm not comfortable out here. So at that point we thought maybe a game out here, maybe 2 games, and he should be back. But actually we didn't realize that the gravity of the injury, and we thought we would be back in a month's time, couple of months time. But obviously it took me a couple of years, a year and more than a year, I think, nearly a year to come back. But I wish I could, as you said, it's a great, I always say, the great opportunity for me to kind of take a lot of credit out here, saying that, really done, I've told Bumrah that this is the way, we need to go, this is what you need to bowl, but I wish I can take that credit. But when I always said that, I think one, for me, honestly, I feel Bumrah is a freak, generally, if you look at the other part. And I've always put my neck out and say he's the bowler. He's a generational bowler. I don't think once in a generation kind of a bowler that the game has seen. If you look at each and every format, T20 is up there, one day is up there, Test cricket is up there. Yeah, he's not played enough right now, but the way the thing is just completely different. So I think the important bit as you're coming back was when he was injured. Just kind of maybe having a chat sometimes and see how he was shaping, how he was progressing, what was it. I think important in an injury, you've got to understand that when a fast bowler goes through an injury, especially a back injury, there are a lot of question marks in his mind, right? I said, would I be able to play this game again, which I love so much? How effective will I be? So a lot of questions I'm sure he must be thinking about it. It's just like having those conversations, sometimes just picking a phone and just calling him saying, okay, fine, how are you feeling? That's all. I don't think you need to have further than that a conversation. Just to make sure that he should realize that people do care about him and we are thinking about it. And obviously the medical team took care of it. Yes, took a little while, more than what we actually thought. But the credit completely goes to him. Is just the way he just bounced back from that injury. I think very difficult. I haven't seen many people going through a back surgery, coming back and being as or maybe more effective than what he was. Obviously matured as a person. He's played a lot of cricket. He understands his game. There's a lot of maturity out there. He is ready to willingly takes responsibility in the team. I think it's very important. He knows that his job is not only to go and win games for the country, which he does it fabulously, but his role is a lot more to be the guiding guide around the younger guys who want to come in, because a lot of these guys look up to him. And to have someone like him interacting with these kids, it's valuable lessons that they will take. It's someone who's been there, who's done it, does it day in and day out. If he comes and tells you and have that conversation with you, to make you a little aware of the game, I think you can't have better. So I think more with that, not much. And just having Vansi back, I think you just have to, as you rightly said, you just want to leave someone like him on. You don't need to work much. You don't need to have that. Yeah, it's the involvement. Sometimes you have a game, and maybe you guys. I would suggest that maybe you could have done this differently, and have that conversation. And I definitely would want his opinion, saying that why he did certain things, to have that understanding. But just so that as long as we're on the same plane and we're really having those conversations, not much, not really. He's sorted.
Okay, and Siraj is an intriguing case in so many ways.
Yeah.
When I first saw him, I was convinced he is an exceptional red ball bowler. I saw him in a World Cup.
Yeah.
For him to actually start learning the trade, which is in India, once you start playing IPL or first class cricket or interstate, then only you start bowling with white ball regularly.
Yeah.
So to master the trade of white ball and not lose the shin when it comes to red ball, how did you all make it happen?
I tell you, there's there's a lot similarity in little white and red. I think what I feel is obviously in both the format, length is constant. I think that's where the game is, right? If your ability to hit that length consistently, that's what he's developed in the red ball. So obviously that becomes a little easy with the white ball, because your length is what really, yes, then you work on the different variations depending on what kind of a format you're playing. T20 asks very demanding. It will ask you different questions. You'll have to adapt to that format. But if you have, in general, if you have that length, if you're able to hit that length, I think red ball or white ball, if you have that in control, the white ball becomes a little easy. The other bit is I always believe that if you have data, if you can access data and use that data, which I feel I like to, I am pretty much in that. I believe that data, because there's no guesswork out there. Data is black and white. It's there. This is it. Then you're easy to have that conversation with any individual. Maybe Siraj saying, this is what we feel. Because in a game, there's a timeline of 3 hours. Okay, 3.5 hours in maybe 1.5 hour, 3.5 hours. So there's a lot of happening in the 3.5 hours. To be able to, sometimes very easy, and it can happen because you can maybe skip the first half of what has happened and only focus on the death sometimes, that kind of phase of the game. So to be able to access that and say, okay, fine, let's break it down into first your power plays, your middle overs, and your death overs. I think what are the areas that we need to work on? What you think in tick mark there are made up something that we can work on. So I think once you have that, you'll be able to compartmentalize and work individually. It just was easy for a bowler to process things. And I think that's something that we did. Constantly encouraging him to swing the ball. I thought in between, if you see a lot, I felt that a lot he lost the shape. He would be a little more of a hit the deck kind of a bowler. But he used that cross seam and the wobble seam very effectively. You see a lot of test match he started using it. I realized that in England, if you see that series that he bowled, a lot of that wobble seam. But in that process, sometimes what happens is you start losing that shape. And I think as a bowler, it's kind of more encouraging him to get that shape, because once you have the ball going away from the right-hander, I think you added a different angle to it, and then setting him up with the one which coming using the seam, which happens. So I think that's something that we really worked on, is having the shape going in. At least have both. You need to be able to swing the ball and seam the ball as well. So with the help of data, with the help of obviously conversations, and as you said, he worked on it. You always be on a support, you always be behind, encouraging him and telling him to do that. Actually, for him to buy in and do the stuff and actually go through, it's a different thing. So credit does go to him that he accepted that thing and say, okay, fine, this is the thing I need to work on. And I feel you've seen the last year and a half that the way he's gone about with red and white ball cricket. So this shows the amount of work that he's put in.
Purdeep 2.0. And so, my point is the transformation when it comes to limited overs is visible.
Yeah.
But the frustration of not getting as many opportunities in test cricket.
Yeah.
He does understand that there are these two stalwarts plus Akshar also.
Yeah.
But then what kind of conversations or what kind of stuff have you been working?
I think one is, as you said, one was the earliest. I remember the conversation we had is when we went to Sri Lanka during that pandemic time. Right. It was series T20 21, right? Yeah, we went there as a staff, and some of the others were in England. I think the series going on. Kuldeep was out there. Kuldeep was just not in the Indian team. He was just being dropped. He was not around the Indian circuit for a while. I remember having that conversation with him, and that little conversation was more about the technical work. Obviously, you could understand as a sitting out there, standing in the net, and understand what he wanted to do, what he wanted to achieve, and also could relate that he wasn't happy with the results because there are certain things that he's not working for him. And I think to be able to just have a conversation saying, okay, we need to do a little bit of technical work. I don't think at that time, mentally so much, but a little bit of technical work that we did. And just to be able to just provide him with the facts, saying that if you do a certain thing, and why am I suggesting certain thing, will benefit you in a couple of ways. And one, maybe the lines, maybe the speeds, that kind of stuff, the ability to hit the length consistently. And I think that's actually started from there. And I think once you do that and you build that confidence with each other, have that confidence with the other person to understand why. Yes, it's kind of helped me. It's the process actually started from there, and that's where the conversations came in. I think what we done was very clearly, by the messaging was very clearly from the staff, from Rahul himself as a head coach, was everything, and Rohit and the captains, and then was your team comes first. That's it. So once you have very clear that team will come first, so all the combinations we will have is depending on the surface that you play on, looking at the opponents that you're playing on, what kind of a combination, because you need to be a little tactical in that. And they had regular conversations, including Rohit. I think Rohit also backed these guys, saying that, and once you have a captain actually backing you, saying that, okay, fine, you may not play the couple of games, but you will still be part of this team. I think that's a confidence that you need. And I think that has really helped him. Also knowing the fact that yes, when India, you might go in with 3 spinners, but we are traveling abroad, it's going to be maybe 1 at times, maybe 2 the best. So it's just that people will go in with the right combination depending on the theme. So having that conversation is important. So create him and keep that player in a great space, saying that, okay, fine, opportunity will come, but let's keep doing the same thing in terms of the process that we followed. So when actually you get an opportunity, you're on top of your game and you just take on from where you left. So yeah, just having that open conversation and create and keeping that individual in great space.
So towards the end now, if you were to pick 2 or 3 bowlers during your tenure who managed to actually surprise you by going the notch ahead.
2 or 3 bowlers. One, I would just one for sure that comes to my mind is Arshdeep. Obviously, I'd seen Arsh at the under-19 level. We were part of that under-19. He was just a rookie coming in. He just played 1 game in that World Cup in New Zealand. I remember that. Because I believe Rahul always felt that whoever comes, who are part of the team, at least should get a game. It's very difficult to give everyone opportunity, but that's what a game. So you could see a little glimpse of what he had. One was obviously the ability to shape the ball, which was very rare at that time, someone who would swing the ball. And then later on, obviously, seeing him a lot with the T20 format, the IPL, when I saw him playing Punjab for the first time. And actually, the way he's turned up from there, the way he's shown the progress, that was definitely very impressive. What I really liked about him was, great head on his shoulder, ability to handle pressure, and clarity. He's very clear in terms of what needs to be done, and more so every time the option that he chooses to bowl that particular ball is generally the right ball. And the execution, so something that that he's worked on his bowling and come into the team. So, but coming into the team, knowing that has the potential, and for that potential to be transcript into performance, that's 2 different things. So I'm very happy that the way the progress that he's shown, where from a young kid coming into the Indian team, he's one of your mainstays for especially I feel T20 format and white ball. Yeah, so very happy with him. The others, a couple of them have the potential. I feel, recent times. Obviously, Prasid, I feel there's a lot of potential out there. Kuldeep was one of them, obviously being injured part. But there are other guys who've not been part. Obviously, others are like Avesh, and I'm not talking about Khalil, part regularly. But some of these guys, Mayank recent times has shown a lot of potential, and something that we need to go ahead and really manage him well. I thought we have unique ability. Pace is very, very unique. These guys are different. Prasid is someone who hits a deck hard, gets a lot of bounce. Mayank is quick. So I think we need going. I like the LSG Mohsin.
Yes.
Mohsin. I think he's different. He's got that little extra something on his bounce, a little bit of bounce off the wicket, the pace that he generates. So I think he might surprise you as well. So these are guys who've not been around. I think we need to manage them going ahead.
And anyone, I'm not saying a letdown as such, but someone who you thought would actually keep on improving, but has kind of stagnated or has dropped down.
I won't say disappointed. But I think someone like Bumrah shown a lot of prospect, initial bit, and still has. We need to. I think, for honest, my belief that they need to guide him. I think he needs to play for a state which has a proper structure. Unfortunately, he's playing for a state where there is not a proper structure. I think playing for a state which has a proper structure, playing a lot of cricket, will definitely help him. So I think we need someone other than someone from the board or guys who make that call for him and make sure that from there, when he plays for a state where he plays a lot of cricket, I think that he's shown a lot of potential. As I said, quick guy who can bowl in the mid-40s consistently. But someone to guide him at this stage and saying, okay, fine, just play cricket, and how do we take his game forward? I feel that. But the others also, I think there's Nagarkoti and Mavi. I thought they've shown a lot. Yes, under 19. Just lost in all this, and maybe overlooked by the associations, overbowled by the associations. Maybe not the overlooked is the right word. Overbowled is and that's a little concern, because a lot of these guys, when they come into the team, are really burned by them and they're not at their best of the game. So a little smart in that.
Okay. Last two questions. Penultimate one is not even going back to the event that unfolded on November 19th, but purely what does June 1 to July 5 mean for Paras Mhambrey on the back of all that you have been talking about for more than 30 years?
I think just the satisfaction. It's I always felt that as a player I couldn't. I remember 96. We there for the World Cup was in India and Sri Lanka, I guess. I was part of the 5 bowlers who were in probables for the World Cup, and 4 got selected, and I wasn't the guy. So I really felt, as a player, never got an opportunity to play the World Cup. Obviously, coaching did allow me, thankfully, the opportunity to be part of the World Cup, part of the team, get a feel of the World Cup, and eventually, obviously, lucky enough to play a T20 part of T20 50-over World Cup and the 3rd World Cup out here, and to actually finish it with the win. And your ability to have the opportunity to lift that cup, I thought that's a complete cycle. Something that really gave me a lot of satisfaction. It's not only the winning bit. Yes, obviously, it's something very special to be able to hold that trophy, knowing that something that you really worked on, you dreamt of when you were a kid, just to win a World Cup. Because you hear stories prior to this, you heard stories of 2007, you heard stories of 1993. When you interacted with all the senior members in the 1983 winning team, 2007 winning team, 2011 was the last. So to know that you're part of you're a world champion, a part of that team, nothing like it. The feeling is good, and also a satisfaction saying that all the amount of work that you've done. There have been some lows, a lot of lows, less highs, maybe highs, a lot lows generally happen. But to be able to overcome that and just finish it, maybe the BCCI, my term, and that's what my last, to be able to finish it with a win, I think that's satisfying and that's rewarding. So just exiting with happy memories out here and a lot learnings, as I said.
The last one, where does Paras Mhambrey go from here?
But it's chill now. I think my wife has very clearly, and I think son has said, boss, आता मराठी बोलतो थोडा वेळ घरी बस. So as of now, घरी बसना है. So I'm gonna be home for a while, but will do something. I think it's not only just to be able to. You will see me around somewhere, maybe IPL or what other franchise team, whatever. Do something. I've not thought about it, honestly. Just completely switched on, because it's been 2.5 years on the road. Just less time. Just want to spend this opportunity with the family. My son is growing. He's caught on to cricket, so to be able to, just want to be able to help him and go with him and see him move ahead. Sit for a while, but surely something or the other. But yeah.
Thanks a lot, Paras.
Pleasure.